Okay. Okay, Jesse, I was thinking, just since you were just texting me, and I think part of what we were going to talk about today was, of course, when you're building your team and recruiting and that type of thing. He was listening to some personal development this morning and had some really good takeaways. So hopefully he gets down here soon. But Jesse was just texting me saying, are you doing a call tonight? Because I'm really struggling. And so I want to hear, because we could even just walk through it. Probably will help some other people if we walk through what you're struggling with and what you're kind of feeling like.
Okay. You want me to just open up?
Yeah. Oh, do you mind?
No, not at all. You know me, I'm a blabber. So me and you talked last week and kind of got a game plan as far as like where to go with my coaches, because I have like 12 that aren't doing anything. And that's I struggle with that. And me and Tyler had spoken about how maybe I wasn't being personal with them, and I'm not. I don't know anything about any of them except for one of them who was a challenger of mine. Two of them, the one I signed this past weekend, I think will do amazing too, but I haven't even trained her yet. But she texted me today and was like, I'm ready to set up a call with you to train. So she's hopeful, and Dana's, but for the rest of the 11 or 10, it is like they drain the life out of me. They don't do anything. They don't show up on calls. And me and you talked about reaching out to them individually and kind of saying, what are your goals with this business so I can help you better? I know that I am 90 to nothing with this business, and maybe my goals are different than yours, and I don't do it to intimidate people, but, what are you struggling with? How can I help you? That sort of thing. I sent every one of them, so all 12 of them not the same message, but same idea. 4 answered me. 4. Okay. So one of them was like, I want to learn how to run the business. My main thing is time management. Okay. I get it. She has like 5 kids, and she has a cake business on the side from her home also, and her husband works away. Totally get it. So I kind of am helping her a little bit. Then the other one said, just like this, I really don't know what my goals are. Laugh out loud. That was all she said. Didn't elaborate, didn't do anything. The other one said she was really intimidated by Dana, and how Dana signed up and by 2 weeks was at Successful 10. And then the other one said, she's having a baby in 3 weeks and finishing nursing school in December. So she just has a lot, and I get it. So I'm trying to help her with time management also. But the other ones just completely ignored me, acted and they've been on Facebook, so I know they've seen their message, which is fine. I don't push people, whatever. Team calls, no one shows up on whatsoever, except for Dana. But Dana understands. She just gets it. So me and her team calls last maybe 5 or 10 minutes. So I decided to do a training group, a private group where I'm just doing personal videos, kind of like the Push to Emerald group that you do. But I'm breaking down how to invite to people, who to invite to, that sort of thing. And so I did it all last week since me and you had our talk. And then, so yesterday I did one about what's next, Emerald and hitting Emerald. And I was talking to him about what that meant and how to get there and who to look for, that sort of thing. So today I have the girl that I told you that I'd already signed her husband up. And she's on my strong leg, which I should be excited about, but I'm not. But she messaged me and she was like, hey, just wanted to tell you that I talked my sister into being a coach, and I know she's one of your clients, so I hope that doesn't burn a bridge with me and you, but she's signing up so I can be Emerald. And I said, if she works better with you, that's totally fine. There's no bridges burned, but does she want to actually work the business? Or are you just trying to fill a space, And she was like, oh, no, she's just doing it for me. And I was like, well, I think you misunderstood my video about Emerald. I said, your goal is to get people to actually want to work the business. I said, your husband has already signed up, but you have to consider that you're his business. So you have your business plus his. I said, so you want, in order to get an income flowing in or to be at Emerald, you have to have an active coach. Someone that's at least doing Shakeology or trying to work the business. I said, your goal is to find people that are interested in it. And She was like, okay, well, maybe I can persuade her to be a coach. And I'm like, you're missing it.
Do you know what, though? I think what I'm gathering from all this is just everybody is different. There are people in this business. I know several people who signed up their parent and their spouse just to get them to Emerald so they could start earning free customers. Some people do that, and some people are like totally fine with that. I think if that, like, I don't know. I just feel like
a lot of people do that.
Mandy Dorsey, who's technically somewhere in our downline, upline somewhere, she works her mom's business, which this part is actually like, this is a little shady, but she like works her mom's business and her husband's business, but then like her mom basically writes her a check for her income every month or week or whatever. So I don't think that's really like allowed, but whatever, that's her deal. But she really, that's how she started. And so I think like if someone is earning Success Club, like I told you, you're giving Will Success Club points every single month, and he's hitting Success Club 5 and 10. So you need to get him to Emerald because he will be earning free customers simply by him being Emerald because you give him Success Club points. I wasn't a Jessie. I wasn't earning 20 success. I was like 5. That was all I did was Success Club 5. So when I signed Tyler up, I didn't make him Emerald quickly because I wasn't giving him Success Club points anyway. So he wasn't really going to be earning a ton of free customers from, does that make sense? Because I wasn't giving him Success Club points.
Yes, that makes sense.
Everyone is different, and the way they build is different, and what's smart for them with placement and all that is different. But I think when you're doing your group with your coaches, are you just like giving them lots of information, or are you saying like, what can I help you with? What are you guys struggling the most with? And then just answering their questions based on what they need.
I asked questions and no one answered. So then I just started doing videos on like one day I broke down how to invite, like how to be casual about it, how to reply to people, that sort of thing.
Right.
Who do you invite, that sort of thing.
So nobody was like really responding. I honestly think, Jessie, in my opinion, this was kind of like your last, and that's kind of what I said to you, is like, this is your last, like, I want to help you and I want to help you get on your feet, but they have to want it. So if they're not even responding to your posts and they're not like contributing to your group, if they're not even answering questions, I would go with the 4 that responded to you. And even the one that says, I don't know what my goals are, say, well, do you want to do challenge groups and help other people? Oh my gosh. Sorry, I keep burping. Do you want to do challenge groups and help other people? Or do you want to just be a discount coach? Or do you want to work on your own journey? Let me see what Megan's saying. Yeah, maybe they want to work on their own fitness goals right now. Like, honestly, I was talking to Krista, who, by the way, you guys, is an 8-star qualification. 8-star. I think she's hitting 5-star this week. Anyway, she was saying that, and I thought this would be a really good idea to kind of collaborate together, but her team, she says, I know that people struggle when their own fitness isn't going well. It's really hard to be a coach. When you're eating candy bars and you're not eating well and you're not exercising, or you're injured or you're pregnant, it's a lot harder to be recommending it to other people and talking about it to other people. So our business really starts with our fitness first. So maybe that's what they need, is just to work on their own journey for a little bit. And maybe that's what they need from you. So you could ask her some more questions to see if you can kind of dig it out of her. But if people don't want to work the business and they don't want to do anything, that's okay. Like, you just have to move on and keep looking for other people, because everybody on here, and people like Megan and Carrie who've been coaches for several years, will tell you there are a lot of people. There's just a lot of different people. There's people who want it but aren't willing to do the work. There's people who want it but aren't willing to get over their fears. There's people who just don't want it. There's people who have hiccups in life where they just can't right now. So you just have to remember that everyone is different. And as long as you're making it about them and saying, like, what can I help you with? And I'm here to be your friend and just help you. Then that's what's most important. That's your job. You can't do anything other than that. And just to kind of let them go if they're not, because if they're more work for you and they're exhausting you and they're not giving anything back, that's a problem.
Right. Well, that's I think is what I'm struggling with. Like every day I'm plugging into this group and no one is even comment back. Dana is, but that's it, you know. And I know to work with Dana, and I've been working outside of all these groups with Dana. I text her, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm to Dana what you are to me. I can text her and you know she's the same way. But my biggest struggle and Will was like, shut up, Kira gets you to diamond. She's on your strong leg. You want her at emerald. And I'm like, yeah, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like I don't know, maybe I'm just a terrible mentor.
I think you're just your story is the exception to the rule. Like finding someone that hits the ground running like you did is like, I don't know if have I ever had a coach like that? Like, I don't think I've ever had a coach like you. And I wasn't like that. Like I took 3 months to even order Shakeology. I took three or 4 months to invite because I wanted to do it my own way because I was scared. And my coach, I didn't even know what Success Club was. Like we all start at a different point and we're all willing to do it differently. Like I took 3 months to invite. Some people take 6 months, a year, and then they'll invite for 2 months and then they stop for 2 months. And then they invite for 2 months and they stop for 2 months. And those people like make me so frustrated because I'm like, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to keep chasing your own tail doing that. But I just have to like be their friend and say, I support you with whatever you decide to do and like be their friend.
Okay. With you still like when you're thinking back from when you started and your team page had like 15 people in it, did you still just engage regularly with them, like post promotions, that sort of thing and calls?
Or did you have a team page until I was like a diamond?
Okay, well maybe that's my problem because I have one that's like dead and I'm in there and I'm posting Success Club and good job, Kira, you posted.
Megan and Carrie, I do want you guys to pipe in. You guys that are typing, like just unmute yourselves and pipe in because this is a good conversation to have, especially with you girls who've been doing this longer.
I'm just curious what you're posting. Is it just Success Club and just Beachbody? Is it anything else?
No, I do
posting that.
No, I do personal development just like every day. Like the Darren Hardy text, like I'll post, like if I have a good takeaway from it, I'm like, oh, I'll post about that, you know. Or if I see somebody post, like one of my girls last week was drinking her Shakeology in her car pickup line, and she did a post on Facebook about it. So I screenshot it and I posted, and I was like, love this, love that you're working Facebook, you know, and I tagged the girl in it. She didn't comment on it. She did, you know, like at least a thank you or a, she didn't, like the group is dead. Literally. I'm the only one talking and Dana keys in every now and then.
Do you ever share like what you're struggling with them?
Yes. Like at the 1st of September, I was struggling with Hidden Success Club. I took a week of vacation off, and when I got back, I was like, ooh, this is unlike me, you know? And so I struggled, but it wasn't like a bragging, like, ooh, I've never waited, you know, it was more like I'm hearing a lot of my friends tell me that September and October are slow. So, you know, maybe what we should do to, you know, beat that is up our invites, up our, you know, reaching out, engaging, that sort of thing. And no one commented. Like, I'm getting, if you could be a fly on the wall.
Are they even to the point of inviting though, Jessie, or are they not even?
No.
So I honestly, this is part of the reason I stopped doing the Push to Emerald, and Megan and I talked a lot about it because the last one we ran, we were just like so frustrated because the problem is like Carrie and Megan and we have any Push to Emerald groups? I think Carrie, you were part of like a business boot camp, right? That Kelly ran, my upline ran it. I didn't know what I was doing, which is funny because I think I'd been a coach like a year, but whatever. Carrie, weren't you in a business boot camp that was simply like 3 vital behaviors?
Yes.
So I think like we didn't have that kind of stuff, and it was almost like a team cup group where they were just focusing on like teaching people how to invite. How many invites did you send today? How many? It was like numbers. I invited this many people. What were the 3? I invited this many people. I did my workout, right?
We had first of all, we had to read a personal development book, and we were required every day to talk about or just say, I read 10 pages or I read 2 pages. We had to say that we worked out. We had to say we drank our Shakeology and how many invite and shares we had. We had to share it with the group, and we had to share it with a success partner that we were assigned to.
Now, did that group work for everybody in it? Did everybody get a fire lit under them and participate?
A lot of us did. I mean, Megan, me, Stephanie, Darla, Krista may have been in that group too. No, that probably wasn't allowed yet. I don't know. There were a lot of coaches in the Rockstar group that were in there.
So
we're all still coaches, so
yeah. I think it works for some people, Jessie, but it's not a magical answer. Does that make sense? Like, I think you're trying to find, like, what's going to make them do something, right? Like, you're doing a team call, nobody shows up. You're reaching out personally, nobody shows up. You're doing a group on Facebook, nobody shows up. I think you're just to the point of, like, let those ones go and take the one or two who are doing something and just move on.
And if 1 out of 10 coaches becomes a diamond, you have 12. You have one that's working. I mean,
that's pretty good. That's a normal ratio.
Yeah, that's normal. I would say just let it go and see if you can be their friend. Maybe make your coach group more of like a fitness accountability group, or just where you're just being their friend, but not trying to mentor them on the business side so much, since you don't really have anyone plugging in that way. And then maybe they'll be more inclined to engage there. But otherwise, you just need to let it go. You're wasting too much energy. I used to tell Heather that. I'm like, you're wasting so much energy and being frustrated over this, and you can't change it. And the more you try, the more frustrated you feel.
Yeah, I used to doing something last week.
There's like training them to invite people.
Yeah. Just to tell you about my group, I mean, I have, I don't know, 20 something, 30 people in my group, and it's the same people who post or comment, and it doesn't matter. Like, I'm still showing that I'm there. I'm still going to post things no matter if people respond or not. But I do mix it up. Like, I post things about social media, like, I copy and paste things from Mari Smith, or I don't know. So usually I post something about personal development. I'll post something about social media, and then I always do recognition. So I may only post in the group 3 times a week, but at least it's still something, and they know I'm still there and willing to help them. So I would just say, don't push people, and just, maybe put in a different mix of what you're posting in the group and see if that helps.
That's kind of where I'm at too. I have a group that I started. I closed my team page, and it like pissed off some of my coaches this summer. And I'm like, look, I just got fed up because I was just sick of people going in there and whining about everything. And I was like, okay, our training team is Team Inspire. You guys know the training you need to do, get done. And some people fell off after that, which I was kind of relieved, because they were the people with excuses all the time that really didn't want this because they weren't consistent. And I opened up like a page now that has like my newer coaches in it, and it's doing okay. But I do the same thing with like personal development. I don't post in there all the time. I may do a video if I have something insight from personal development or something like that. And I do recognition for the Success Club. But mostly now at this point, Jessie, like if they don't do the Team Inspire training, I don't invest my time. I had one coach that's been really inconsistent message me, and she's like, I have 5 people that want to buy a challenge pack. I'm like, cool, when's your group starting? And she never got back to me, and they never bought the challenge pack. So it was like, okay, cool, when's your group? I'm watching actions more now, because I have seriously asked Megan, wanted to like, and especially if you ever talk to my husband, wanted to quit like every month. And it was probably way worse than anybody here even knows. But like I cried over people. And that is ridiculous. Like that, it's not worth the energy, because I think I was putting my expectations on everybody else. And I have high expectations of myself in this business, but not everybody does. And so like I've had to be more realistic about that, So I'm sorry you're going through that though. That totally sucks. I know personally it's very hard. So
I just think
get invested.
the struggle is like I'm friends with everybody, and we're all like hitting the ground running. my team is like, cool, how's it going today?
I probably have 2 coaches that are working the business and one is falling off. So I'm with you, girl.
As long as
with you.
it's normal, because I feel like it's made in my approach on training them. Oh, and everybody knows it. It's not it anyways. But I feel like maybe I'm not. She's
Are you
doing it with all
guys-
those kids.
Are you guys like, is this breaking up for everybody or just us? Okay,
Yeah, a
ours is
little
kind of
bit,
choppy, so I didn't know if it was just ours. This actually goes perfectly into what Tyler and I were talking about this morning. So I'm going to put some duct tape over my mouth and let him talk.
Well, I was actually reading on the 5-star diamond wall, and some of the coaches on there were actually going back and forth about whether or not to even have a PS coaches page. And one of the coaches said she even got rid of hers altogether, and just if she has anything to communicate with her team, she has an email list that she just, sends out announcements or, whatever she needs to connect with on that. So I don't think any one way of doing it is the cure-all for it, but find whatever works for you and your personality and your coaches and just go with it. But one of the things that I learned about on personal development today was you can't, like if you have, and we kind of already talked about it this morning, but if you have a bucket of oysters and you go through and open up all these oysters, you're going to find a few pearls in there. Not every single oyster is going to have a pearl in it. So you can't make the oysters produce pearls, right? You can't, if you have a bucket of 100 oysters, you can't make 50 of them have pearls. You can't do anything to create that pearl inside of there. It just has to be there. So, if you get 3 out of that whole bucket of 100 or 10 out of the whole bucket out of 100, whatever is a normal ratio for you, then just go with it and move on to the next bucket. Okay, because you can't do anything to force that to happen. Some coaches have that within them. They have that drive and desire to make it a business and to run with it. And some people don't. And there's just really, you can only push and prod and train and encourage. And, if you're constantly every day having to pull and drag people, it's not going to go anywhere. And as soon as you stop pulling, they're going to stop too.
And it's exhausting.
Right.
It's exhausting. Like you will not last if that. I've tried, right? Like I've tried to do that same thing and it doesn't work. But I think part of it is we start to feel guilty, like we did something wrong or we, didn't do it good enough. And if we would have done better and we would have had this, if we would have had the emerald in us to be organized, then it would have gone over better. We would have. But honestly, I think you have to remember not everybody has a pearl, but not everybody's developed that pearl yet. Right? Like, I think there's a difference. And I think I talked to Tyler about this morning. It's a very fine line between who said wiping their butt. Was it Heather last week? Like wiping someone's butt for them and getting down on their level and helping them where they're at. Because like I said, when I signed up, if my coach would have been like, I was in a group kind of like that. The Rockstar, our team page, I actually took myself out of because it was stressing me out. Carrie probably remembers that. And Megan, I took myself out because I couldn't even handle being in there because there was all this business talk and I just couldn't handle it. So I took myself out and said, I can't handle like Success Club. I can't handle Emerald. I don't even know what those are, but tell me like the basics because that was my personality. If she would have just been frustrated that I wasn't willing to invite right off the bat and just written me off, I would have probably quit. Right? So she broke it down for me and said, okay, here's our 5-step process. You can invite people this way. I still refused. I still did it my own way and for some reason thought this would be smarter. Sending out a mass message saying, I'm a coach, here's my website. Yeah, I did that. So I was still like, I had the desire, but I didn't want to make it a business. And if she would have been like, hey, we're going to make this a business and you got to post 5 times a day on Facebook and you got to do this and this, I would have been like, I probably would have needed to breathe into a bag and I would have quit within a week, maybe 2. So there's a difference and you really just have to use your own judgment to say like who you're going to work with and who you're not. And I'm similar to Heather, where if they don't do the Team Inspire training, I won't get on the phone with them. Now, I do have an exception to that. Like today, I'm getting on the phone with a girl that right after this call that I'm kind of dreading, because she's already messaged. She's been a coach for over a month. She has sent me her assignments, but it's been like really, really random, and 3 weeks later. And she messages me and is like, I don't know your password to schedule a call with you. I don't really get technology. This is really hard. And I'm like, for the love, this is like the easiest thing you could be doing. Like, it's so plain and simple. So I already feel like technology is an excuse for her, but I have to take care of myself, because if I'm not taking care of myself with all the giving that we do as coaches, right? Jesse, you're giving and giving and giving of yourself to help these people, but you're probably not taking care of you to be able to give more. Does that make sense? Yes. So I had to slow down for a minute and be like, hey, I have to be patient with this girl, because she may not have finished the training yet, but I'm just going to jump on the phone with her. And if this first call of me just getting to know her doesn't start to kind of spark something, then I probably won't jump on the phone with her again. So it's a fine balance in line between giving so much that you're exhausted and no one's giving back, and babying to the point of like you're doing, like Heather Timmons went through that experience. Like she just gave for way too long without them giving anything back. But I don't want you guys to think, to be hard-hearted about it and to be like, okay, well, they're not doing this, so I'm not helping them. Do you know what I mean? Because if my coach would have done that, I wouldn't be here. Does that make sense?
In that Six Figures, the one where she does the treasure chest, I love that one. That cracks me up, because I can like think of one person for everything she mentions. The one with the kid, the pussycat. Those were the kind of coaches I had. They were the fill my milk bowl, clean my litter box. What's my coach ID? Those type of people, I'm like, no.
And you have to have judgment with that, right? And I think, Heather, you for so long were doing that for them, right? You were bending over backwards. And I think bending over backwards is okay at first, a little bit, or directing them, saying, have you checked the FAQs? And teaching them like, oh, that's in our first training of Team Inspire. Like teaching them and kind of holding their hand. Jesse and I especially remember Christy Borders. You guys are my two newer coaches on here. We texted a ton at the beginning, right? Like a ton. And we'd get on the phone a lot and we'd have lots of calls. We don't do that as much anymore just because you guys got it, right? But I did help kind of hold your hand a little bit more at the beginning. So you have to use your judgment on that. And Megan, you need to unmute yourself. You have good things to say. Your last comment is like so critical.
Yeah, I think we get so wrapped up in our coaches doing stuff because we have goals that we want to meet, even though we're not being selfish on purpose, but we want to push them because, at least this is where I find myself sometimes, I want to push them because I want to get somewhere. And so you have to separate yourself emotionally. And honestly, I'm at a point now where I sign a coach up, and if I never hear from them, I don't care. Like, that's fine. But I'm not going to feel bad, and I'm not going to chase them. And it's so freeing because I'm doing my thing. And this is something Danny Johnson says. You sign up a coach, you outsource the training to Team Inspire website, to our team calls, to the National Wake Up Call, to Danny Johnson. And that's where they're being developed. And 80% of your time is focused on recruiting the next person, not training. If you're spending all this time trying to train your people, you're in the wrong spot. You need to be working on inviting and building your business and filling your challenge groups. And then I forget what she says, like 19% of the time is getting new people started or problem solving, and 1% is something else. I forget. Maybe 1% is problem solving.
This morning too. Yeah. I think removing yourself emotionally from the outcome, like Megan said, is like, because you can't care. Like as heartless as that sounds, you can't care. Does that, like, We care about people, and I want everyone to be successful. But if I sign up a coach, like Megan said, that never reaches out to me, that never, like, I send everybody the same welcome email and it directs them to the same exact website. The same exact website. And I've said this over and over. I have people that do it in a weekend or a week, and they do it. And I have people who don't, and they don't ever, like, after 2 or 3 weeks, I'll just message them and say, hey, just wanted to reach out and see how the training's going. And they'll give me all their excuses. And I'm just like, I kind of am fake, you know, and I'm just like, okay, just let me know when you finish, you know. I'm not going to go, like, push them along. Well, you got to finish, and you got to finish. It's like, if they never finish it, I usually know it probably won't be very long before I get an email saying they're quitting. And that may sound like, I think the longer you guys are in this, the more you get accustomed to this, and this is just how it goes, because Carrie and Megan and I know, and probably Heather Timmons at this point, that not everybody does something. And there are people who do something and then they fall off the wagon. And the people like you guys are very few, very, very few and far between. Very. So I push this group a little bit more because you guys have the desire, you have the drive, you do the work. I don't push other people. The girl I'm getting on the phone with at 11 is going to be like this. So tell me about you. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your story with coaching. And I'll read over her email right before I jump on the phone with her to remind myself of her story. And then I will give an assignment, and I will say, okay, the next step is we're going to announce you're a coach. And I want you to go to that part of the training in the coach development tab that famous Carrie created for us and say, here's how to announce you're a coach. I want you to send me your brain dump, and I'm going to edit it for you and help you announce it. If I never get an email, I might follow up a month later, but that's nice of me to follow up, right? Like, if I give an assignment and they don't do it, then what am I going to, I'm not going to wipe their butt. I love that analogy. I keep using that.
So just remember, though, as a new coach, you value so much every coach that you sign up, right? Because you want to get to Emerald, you want to get to Diamond, and so every single coach matters a lot to you. So if you're, 2 coaches away from getting to Diamond, and you sign up a coach and you want to put all your time and effort into helping this coach be successful, because they're going to get to Emerald and they're going to make you Diamond, that's a hard spot to be in, right? Because you want to be Diamond so much, but it's so hard to change your mindset away from what you need to become your next rank, or what you need to get your volume, or whatever, to changing that to be about that coach, right? So it's so hard to accept that and realize that it's not about you, it's about you helping and serving these other people to develop a business. And if they don't want it, then that's fine. You're going to move on to the next person, and whoever it is that has that pearl inside of them that wants the business, that's who you're going to spend your time with. Not that you don't care, but your time is most well spent with the people that actually want it.
That took me like 3 years to learn.
That's exactly where I'm at, because I'm like so close to Diamond. I'm like, and so I feel like I'm like, don't quit, anybody don't quit, because I don't have enough to back me up. You know what I'm saying? And I know that sounds awful, and I can remember when I first started, and I think I may have been at Emerald, but I know that you know this because I called you. I was freaking out because I had like 4 people quit their Shakeology in like a week, within like 2 days of one another. And I was like, Tiffany, my paycheck, and you were like, don't worry about it. Find someone else. Like, constantly find someone new. So maybe I just need to like flip my mind.
Yeah, honestly, because I mean, I keep referring to Carrie and Megan only because they've been coaches for so many years. I will warn you guys now, the week that you hit Diamond, for you to even hold Diamond for 6 weeks is hard. Why? Because if you have 4 on each side and one goes inactive, or one of those Emeralds has a coach that goes inactive, guess what? You're going to drop out of Diamond. I'm preparing you now. Do not freak out. The only way you will not fall out of Diamond is if you have multiple Emeralds on each side and multiple coaches on top of the 4 on each side, right? So if you guys are like scrambling your way to get there, that's your thing. If you want to get there and go to Cabo, that's great. but be prepared emotionally, mentally to see it drop back down to Emerald, or possibly coach, depending on what happens. You can't get stuck on that. You just have to move forward and say, okay, I know I need a buffer of coaches, and I'm going to eventually build out so I have 40 coaches on each leg or whatever it is, so that you won't drop out anymore. Does that make sense? But I don't want you guys getting there and then freaking out when someone's going inactive and trying to like, how am I going to get that person active? How am I going to get that person active? I will tell you that's exhausting and you won't last very long, and it's not enjoyable. Like, that's not the ride that anybody wants to be on, is scrambling to hold their rank. You guys, I drop from 5 to 7. I go from 4-star sometimes to 6. Occasionally I'm 7. If all my lines worked out, of all the people that have built to Diamond, I should be an 8-star, but I've never held it long enough because people are in and out, and some people aren't working their business right now. And I could be totally stuck on those people and trying to keep them Diamond and da-da-da. And I want them to be successful, but they have to want it too. Like, I can't want it more than those people do. So it's constantly a flow of finding new people, trying to find the people with the pearls, not just like brushing off and like not liking the people who choose differently or choose not to build the business or quit or whatever. I'm just their friend. Like, I just had a girl that was in this group message me and say, I have to take a step back, I'm moving and blah, blah, blah. And I said, like, I totally understand. You have to do what you have to do. And your family and all that is most important. So if you have to take a step back, then that's fine. If I'm emotionally connected to, if one of you guys came to me today and said, I'm quitting, I would say, okay, like, I'm sorry it didn't work out for you. Coaching's not for everyone. I would probably be like, oh, I see so much potential. And I would probably be more frustrated because you guys have so much potential. But it would be like, I have had to disconnect emotionally from the outcome of everybody else's business, because I just you can't live like that. It's miserable. Megan and Carrie, any other thoughts? Carrie,
I was just going to say to Jesse, I'm like, just chill just a little bit. Because I see me and you.
That's not personality.
I don't want you to burn out, because you will if you keep doing this. And you'll be like I was a year ago and just be like, screw it. Not that I ever quit or ever wanted to quit, but it's just like, you put so much time and energy in your coaches, and when you don't get that back, it weighs you down. So just keep moving forward. And I have to tell myself this all the time too, but just keep looking ahead and don't look back at those people. Eventually maybe one of them will call you and say, I am ready to go. Because I've had that happen. I had a girl sign up, family things happened. She didn't do anything for like a year, and now she's like getting Success Club 10 like 2 months in a row. She's about to be Emerald, and it just happened like that. So it's just take a step back, focus on you and developing more people, and just don't get burned out.
I think that's a perfect example, Carrie, especially because once that coach decided she was ready, it was like this, right? Like, she started hitting Success Club. She's going to be Emerald this fast. But had Carrie just like spent all this time trying to convince her, and okay, we got to invite, and this is Success Club, and come on, jump on our team call, like you giving. I remember Julie Schulte, who's in our upline. I remember her telling me she got a massage every week, and I was like, oh, that's kind of like a lot. But I've realized especially over the last 2 years, when I went through my 6 or 8 month period of literally, like, I went through the motions and I still did the basics of this business. But you guys, I would show up on a team call and I was like, it took everything in me to like be excited. And it was because I wasn't filling myself. I wasn't doing personal development. I wasn't taking care of my marriage. I wasn't taking care of me. Like, I wasn't taking care of my spirituality, because with all we do as coaches, we give to our challengers. We give to our teams. We show up on calls like this and we're trying to motivate people. I had one of my coaches who's been a coach for like 2 years, who has been very inconsistent in the business, like to the point of like very up and down. but not for very long. Like everything's like a month and then gone. Like she disappears and isn't on any calls, no team page for months, and then she shows back up. So I always know when she's going to be inviting and like hitting Success Club because she'll show back up in my life. I don't even think she's Emerald. Anyway, she messaged me and said, can we jump on the phone? I need some motivation. And part of me wanted to like scream and strangle her and say, I am not your sole source of motivation, you guys. And that's something I learned last year. That's what I tried to do. I tried to be everybody's motivation all the time, and it drained me, and I wasn't fueling myself to be able to do that. And so now I direct people, you guys know, to 6 Figures in 6 Months and different resources, because you cannot be everyone's lifeline. So I told her, I said, you can go ahead and sign up for a call with me next week, because I'll give her my time to be nice. She never even signed up for a call this week. And I'm not going to go chasing her like, here's my schedule, no, like if you didn't see the call schedule I tagged you in, I'm not giving you my time. But I've gone off on a tangent. Now I can't remember. But just like making sure that you are fueling you. And when I'm feeling frustrated, like I just told him this morning, I'm like, I just feel like deflated. I'm like, I need to set aside an hour every morning of my day that goes straight to me developing me so I can give, but also make sure you're not your coach's sole source of fuel. You guys need to be plugging your team into what fuels you. So if that's the compound effect in Darren Hardy and his daily texts, awesome. If that's Danny Johnson, awesome. If that's Shalene or someone else that fuels you, your team needs to be fueling themselves, not you fueling everyone. Okay.
I've got something that worked for me this past week. I invited my coaches that were actually working the business to for us to do a battle group like with their current challengers. So I did it with mine and then theirs with theirs. And out of it, they just emerged people that were really excited and motivating. And so then she ended up, like pretty much all of her challengers kind of like got excited about it. And then she ended up doing coaching invites from there, and I helped her through that. So maybe, I don't know if you've tried doing that, Jesse, but it really worked really well. And like 3 of them are interested, and she didn't know that otherwise. So I know that we've done, a battle group before. So that might work, because then she would have thought that they weren't interested because they'd been quiet for such a long time, but it kind of just reignited that spark. So.
One thing my coach Krista said she's doing that I actually really liked this idea, and I think Carrie and I have talked about this briefly, and shockingly I never did it. But it was like a challenge group, but for coaches. So she made a cute little image of like, I guess everybody put in like $10 or something. So it was just their downline, put in $10 or something. And it was a fitness, like challenge groups we run, right? Because if we're struggling in our own fitness, it's really hard to be, running a business trying to tell other people to work on their fitness when you're not working on your own. And I'm not saying nobody's working on theirs, but this may even be something your coaches may be like, I want to do that, especially fourth quarter. It's a slower time. Most of us get off track on our own nutrition and fitness because of the holidays. And so it might be a good time for us to do something like this, but just a downline challenge group, basically, where we're all focusing on a program and committing to our nutrition. I'll have to share that with you guys and see if you guys would want to do something like that, because I think it might be kind of fun, and it may spark some people who aren't doing anything with their business to do something with their business when they start feeling that passion and that fire when they're working on that themselves. So I'll share that with you guys, because Krista, I think she messaged it to me. And then I did want to talk to you guys about what is the thing we've been talking about all morning?
Open house.
The open house thing. Especially when you're 7 months pregnant, Christine Warder says, about a coach open house. And we can talk about that in the group or maybe next week or whatever, because it's already been 50 minutes. But we did coaching at a glance for a while, and I just had toyed with the idea of, we stopped doing it for a little while just because I felt like too many people were just like waiting for me to do that, and they weren't learning how to just talk to people. So anyway, I kind of want to put together a little open house and use a business opportunity webinar once in a while, and just talk more about that. So I'll chat about that on the page with you guys so we can let you go this morning. But does anybody else have anything they want to add?
Oh, I was going to say to Jesse too, just something that I do to my coaches who are working the business and successful, even if they sell just a program or a challenge pack or whatever it might be. I send them a personal message, a voice message, and just give them a shout out personally. That has made a huge difference. And because I like to look at things like, from my perspective, it's like, well, nobody ever does that for me. Megan does it for me. You know, like people in my life don't message me just to say, hey, great job or what, you know, it just doesn't happen because I'm the giver, you know, as coaches, like we're the givers. And just to be able to do that and to brighten someone's day like that, I found has made a big difference and is encouraging. So not doing it in like a group format, but doing it more one-on-one, personal, I think makes a big difference too.
Well, building confidence and then that relationship.
Yeah.
Tyler had a couple takeaways. I thought you had already kind of, I knew you didn't
kept
get
cutting in. Okay. So one of the things that I actually did want to talk about today was recruiting, because like Megan said, 80% of your time should be spent on recruiting new people. The other time, you know, training and systems and problem solving and all that takes up the rest of the time. But 80% of your time should be put into recruiting. So what we wanted to talk about was, while you're recruiting it, when you're trying to talk to somebody about being a coach, you cannot make them want to be a coach. It has to be their idea. So if you can find out what their goals are, what their needs are, you know, all that information about them, and tailor your message to them about what is going to fulfill that need, and then they make that decision to become a coach or become a challenger, they're going to be so much more dedicated to it. So if any of you know anything about, you know, animals, or even like Danny Johnson used the example of a cow. So Megan, you probably know this one because of your husband, but she says, how do you get a cow to like into a stall or whatever? So basically you turn it backwards and then try to pull on it and it will back itself into the stall, right? So you cannot push that cow into the stall, but if the cow decides that I'm going backwards, or, you know, I'm going into that stall, then it's going to go into the stall, right? It has to be their idea. So you have to find the pearls out there among all the oysters, and two, you have to make it about them and help them to realize what an awesome opportunity this is, and then they will make that decision by themselves. And when they choose to do that, then they will be so much more dedicated than if you try to push them along the whole time. Because we all know, if we're convinced into doing something that it's not our idea, then we're not very dedicated in it. And as soon as we find a good opportunity to back out, we'll probably back out. But if it's our idea and we're invested in it, then it's a lot different. Like if you look at, so my career is a physical therapist. I have a friend of mine that just opened up his own practice. So he put in 8 years of schooling. He put in, I don't even know how much, $100,000, $200,000 in loans in just in education. Now he's got overhead in like, you know, leasing out the office space, all the equipment that he had to buy, staff that he's got to hire. I mean, there is so much expenses involved in a business. And you know what? He is going to work his tail off to make sure that that business is successful because he has so much invested in it. But the problem is with being a coach, we spend, you know, $40 to get into it and, you know, $15 a month. There's almost nothing invested in there. So it's very easy for somebody to back out. But my friend, he's got so much invested in it. He is going to make it happen. So it's his choice. He decided to do it and he's going to make it happen. And it's the same idea with us coaches. They've got to be invested. It's got to be their idea, something they want to do. And if you have to guide them along that process, then that's fine. But make it about them, about their goals, what they want to accomplish, and they'll be more dedicated to it. Okay, so that was my kind of takeaway. The other thing was just be confident in what you do. Like, you know, if you go into a conversation and somebody asks what you do and you say, well, you know, it's network marketing. So, one of those multi-level kind of things, you're going to turn people off right away. But you know what? You have such an awesome opportunity to earn a ton of money, because guaranteed we make more money than my friend that put all that money into his business, but he's going to be more dedicated because he has so much invested. But if we have that confidence to say, you know what, we help people build businesses, we help people change lives, network marketing, we put all this time and effort into personal development and making ourselves better, to be better human beings, better parents, better spouses, better, to our parents, and, all these relational type of things that this business makes us better at. What other career out there does that? Almost none. Nobody else's business does that. Our group is so much better than any other career out there. So be confident in that and know that this business is something definitely worthwhile, because you're changing people's lives, and there's no other career out there that you can do what you can do in this business. So, if somebody asks you what you do, say, hey, Paul, I change people's lives. I help people start businesses. I help people get greater confidence. All these different things that you do as a coach, and be happy, be confident about it.
Amen.
Yeah.
The 6 minutes to spare. Oh,
yeah.
never mind.
So one last thing is I created a Dropbox with all of the documents from Tiffany's various Facebook groups. So, and I believe I gave everybody access in here. I'm not sure, but so you can go in there. It's Google Drive, so it's off of Facebook. What we wanted to do is get all those documents and organized into a somewhat logical fashion. So if you have information that you need or resources, then you can just go in there and look, rather than having to scroll through a list of 100 different things in 5 different Facebook groups. So I think I emailed everybody. So check your emails and click on that link to the Google Drive, and then look through that and see if there's anything you want to change or anything you feel like could be organized better, or something you want to add to it. Whatever link, let me know and we can arrange it as we need to.
We're going to share it with the whole downline.
Yeah.
So it's a place like where Heather, you could even, your, what's your group's called? Your battle. What's it called? Your battle group. Do you guys have a guide or anything like that could help our team? It's just like a resource, a pool of resources.
Okay.
So feel free to add to it, give suggestions, change things around. You guys will all have access to change it. When we share it with the team, the downline, I don't want them to all be able to change it or add to it. If they want to add something, they can send it to one of you and we can add it. Just because if 500 people have access to it, it'll be a nightmare. So, yeah. That's new. Thank you to Carrie and Tyler, because I don't do things like that.
There is stuff in there, because I tried to look at stuff and see what it was, and but if there's stuff in there that maybe you created and you don't use anymore, or you don't like it, or if there's something you changed, then feel free to take it out or
update it or
whatever. Because there is some stuff that's a little older in there.
It's kind of hard. Everything's always changing, right? So anyway, okay, you guys have a good week. We'll talk in the group more, and I will talk about those couple things I wanted to chat about. So, okay, talk to you later. See ya.